Welcome to Planning and Implementing Data Services. The first thing, I'm going to create a SQL database. I'm going to go down to Data Storage, SQL Database. Then on here, I'm going to give it a name for this. And we're going to call this one Operations in here. Then I'm going to do is under the Select Source. So I'll take a look here. Select Source, Server. I'll just take a look around here. And I'm going to do is, of course, I'm going to create a new server on here, because there is no other existing server on here. And this new server name, I'm going to call this one any name. And I'm going to call this one David Papkin SQL Server. Server admin login will be student. After that, of course, the password, which I'm using this demo, capital P, A, $W0RD, which is a strong password. Please don't use this in your organization. Pick the location. I'm going to say Singapore, Southeast Asia, because that is the region that I'm in. Under resource group, what I'm going to do is create a new one. Now remember, do not select yes for the V12, because as with this one we import the database, there'll be a version mismatch. Of course, you can download a service pack to handle this also. Great. So on this resource group, I'm going to call this one Ops RG. Click OK. Wait. And you'll see that all in there. Great. Okay, now the thing is on here. Just make sure, and I'm just taking a look at it. Now the pricing tier, of course, was S1 Standard. Select that. S1 Standard is the pricing tier. And afterwards, I'm going to create it, and as you can see right here in the notifications, it shows that it's created it. Fantastic. And then wait for it to go online. And now next I'm going to configure the firewall rule. This time I'm going to use the full portal. I'm not going to use the preview portal. We'll go to the secret database. Now notice there's an operations database. It's been created. It's online. It's ready. That server, David Papkin server. Great. I'm going to configure it. What I'm going to do is, that's the IP address. I'm going to add to them the actual range on here. The starting range and the ending range on here. And I'm actually going to say is on here, it'll be 118.200.255.255 on here. And the ending one will be, it'll be 00, 118.200.0.0. Another 0 in there. And then the other one, I'm going to end it in 255.255 in here. Then afterwards, I'm going to save it. Now the next thing I'm going to do is use SQL Server Management Studio, and I'm going to connect to that server name using SQL Server Authentication. Now notice you'll see I have the operations database there. Now I'm going to do is next I'm going to open some Transact SQL code. I have a file in here which has a sample in here. The B drive it should be. Then once I have in there, I'm going to use a new query on there. I'm going to look at that just to show you what the code it contains. Now I'm going to do is execute all that right there first. Affected those, and of course if I try to do it a second time it won't work. And the next thing I'm going to do is a new query on here. And I'm going to select asterisk from dbo.serverlist. And this is going to list 3 servers and their IP addresses on here. And I'll execute it. Notice server 1, 2, and 3 with their IP addresses .61, .62, and .63. Of course, if I try to do it again, it's going to give me a problem. Great. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to view database metrics on here. So the next I'm going to do is view database metrics. So this one I'm going to use the preview portal on here. And when I look on the Operations SQL Database and the monitoring section, see the details of connections and storage space used, etc. Tells you all the things about it. Now the next I'm going to do is I'm going to click and I'm going to add an alert. As you can see on the left side, I'm going to call this alert rule, and the name on this is storage alert, and it's going to be storage alert for Operations Database. Metric total database size, and the threshold will be 100, the period over 15 minutes. Over the last 15 minutes. Now I of course can say emails, service, and co-administrators. And my email, I'm going to type in my own email address. So the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to migrate a SQL Server database to Azure SQL. So I need to do is go into the Management Studio. I'm going to connect database, and this time I'm going to say on Windows authentication. I'm going to change it to the server name. So this one right here. I'm going to migrate a SQL Server database to Azure SQL. I'm going to go over here. I'm going to take the sales database on here. So on this one right here, as you can see, I'm going to do is I'm going to connect right here to this database. Let's just take everything out in here and take a look. Just make sure it's all connected. So this one, the sales database here. give it the temporary database. This is going to be for the backpack file that will be exported and imported on here. Okay, great. So this is the temp file used for it. Great. Okay, and let's just see if it actually finishes on here. Take a look. Great. And remember, if you hadn't done this, if you had allowed it to do the V12 update, then this would have failed because of the version mismatch that I discussed already. And the next thing I want to do is okay, so notice that the sales database now exists on there. So we took the one, we imported it, the SQL database into Azure SQL. Now the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to configure some database security. I'm going to create a new login, and we'll call this one Sales App. So you see I'm creating this login Sales App with this password that I've been using. Great. And after that, I'm going to execute it. So create login sales with password equals this. And then notice it is go there. And then I'm going to do is I'm going to execute it. Great. It completed that one. Fantastic. So I create a new login, and I'm also going to create a new user also. And the new user is going to be called Sales App. So user, new user, and this one will be called Sales App. I'm using that code from here. I'm going to run it. Of course, I have to make a few modifications for this. It's right there. So now you can see there's a new user called Sales App. He's been created. Fantastic. Here. So we're going to do this right here. The Visual Studio. I'm going to get the one on this one. Sales App on this right here. This is the Sales App solution. Preparing the solution, I'll look for a web config there. Then I'm going to do is browse and going to go to the SQL database right here. Down for SQL database. There she is. SQL there. I'm going to find the sales database. Remember, this is the imported one. Then I'm going to look at the properties. And I'm going to do is I need the connection strings of this. So properties. I need the ADO.net. So I'm going to click and copy it. I'm going to need this one for the next exercise. So what I'm going to do is just on here, on this connection string, I'm changing the user ID to sales app at the server name. And the password, I'm going to put in the password there. And then afterwards, I'm going to start debugging it. And then afterwards, after I change this to sales app and I replace the password field, then I'll save it and start debugging. Then you're going to see the sales app history database. Start debugging. Then it's going to open in an Explorer, and I'm going to see afterwards. Back to there. Let's try that again. And notice this is the data that I managed. This data was retrieved from the sales database that was migrated to Microsoft Azure SQL Database. And I'm going to close all of this. So you can see on this right here. Now I'm going to do is I'm going to delete at this point. I'm going to delete the database. So after it's deleted, now afterwards, eventually after deleting it and I refresh the full portal, you have to refresh it, unlike the preview portal here. So you'll notice under the databases, under delete database, eventually you'll see it there. For a while it isn't there, but eventually it'll show up there. Just have to wait. And this one, just refresh it. Eventually it'll be there. Then I click on it. Now I change the name a little bit. And that one right there is the restore setting. Now this restore, I need to take it away and give it the same name. So that's why that didn't work right there.